Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Only on video.
Yeah, it's there's a place called Chikaderas in City.
You will be charged for.
Yeah, but there are so many things that we could do to spend time with family that we don't have to travel far to enjoy with family.
You tell us a little more about kayaking
Okay.
in this part of the world.
Okay.
Jerry, what can people do? What can stakeholders do to make the best of Christmas, the best of tourism at Christmas?
Oh yeah, there are quite a lot of there are some things that stakeholders can bring on board. Like she mentioned some of these places, especially in Abuja, for instance. Yeah, I'm beginning to see a number of tour operators within Abuja who go every weekend for hiking, from hiking to several other outdoor activities. It's especially during this festive period. Is a time where they can really project some of these places. But aside from Abuja, in the states, there are also places, because people a lot of people are traveling back to their home, to villages and all that. And some of these places are there. And it would be very good for these operators to showcase this place before now, preparatory to Christmas. These places are supposed to be showcased so that people can see and know, okay, when I get to the village or when I get to my home, my town, I would like to visit this place, So there's got to be a lot of promotion, a lot of advertorial so that people can see. And not just people, I could choose to travel, to maybe like any state at all that I wish to go to some of these locations. So it is good for tourists to begin to tour operators to advertise these places. The social media is there. You know, you can do promotions on social media. You know, for people to see it will get to wider audience. You know, and people can begin to appreciate these places and visit. And through that, you're boosting local tourism, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're making money from it.
Jerry, you speak as though you have some experience of life in the rural areas. I know you to be an Abuja person, so it's like I'm challenging your authority to speak about rural life for a person who isn't used to rural life. Are you?
Well, I'm a local
And if
boy.
so, tell us what are the attractions in those places?
Yeah,
Chino, that question is going to come to you also.
like I mentioned, there are places, you know, like in my state, sometime last in 2019, when I went for a wedding, I had mapped out places that I wanted to visit, like the Ibnon Beach, you know, in Akwa Ibom State.
Mhm.
Yes, I visited that place and I had fun, you know. And there are people who offer services there, like you can eat roasted fish, you can drink, you can do stuff. You know, they make brisk business from it. And even at this point, at this festive period, go there and see a number of people.
Look, food is one thing. I am a foodaholic. Food is one thing that you talk about. We may not finish this discussion today. We may come back to it. Chinelo, what are the attractions? You are also a city girl. You are you are an Abuja person. So, do you have any experience with rural life? And if so, what is there that we can say is an attraction?
Mm. Well, I won't say I lived in the village, but when I was much younger, we traveled every season to the village to celebrate with our grandparents.
What did you
And
enjoy?
we always looked forward to the village square events, that we hold then. But beyond that, because I like doing things out of the ordinary, not necessarily the usual things. So I think I would encourage families, especially those who don't have so much to spend, especially with the high cost of things this time around. They could just look around close to them. I know in Pape there's a place where families go just because of the greenery and where it is high up there in the mountain, in the hill. They just go there and enjoy, like picnicking with their families during times like this.
It's good you talk about this Pape because whenever people hear the name Pape, they think it's just a big slum.
No, I mean,
Pape, in fact, five Pape, the hills of Pape.
yes, I mean this place is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think there was a construction company that used to be around there, so probably they left, and then people now utilize the place because there's natural water running by. There's
Yes.
carpet grasses everywhere.
It's the party
Families-
mushroom.
Yeah.
If you mention it's not
Yeah, so people
Yes.
lounge there with their families to spend
People go to
time.
do picnic
So
there.
yeah, and
There's another one in what do you call it? Shafa,
yes.
almost like the Pape.
Yeah.
It may amaze you that place you're talking about is just a stone throw from where I stay. If I
Shafa.
no that
Crushed rock.
crushed rock,
Okay.
if I just stand at my window and throw a stone, it's possible that it's stone.
Oh,
If I'm a good slinger.
So these are things that people can enjoy. I mean, nowadays people also just take a trip to the cinema, just to spend it. Though that one is becoming more expensive too. But there are just things that you could do with your family. You could just even hang out in front of your house. Just everybody hangs out outside. And
Yeah, but
lay out a barbecue or something and enjoy yourself.
it's good we're talking about this issue, but the tour operators who are the stakeholders, because when you talk about stakeholders, government has actually not taken the lead.
Yeah.
Government has not taken the lead. From government circles, we can see that there is government is the weak link, so to speak. So it's store operators that should actually be pushing this kind of narrative, but we don't see it, and you actually stand guilty. You're a call.
No, I'm not a tour operator.
You at least you know those
Yeah,
people.
but I have a couple of
Yeah.
friends who are operators, and we've had a number of them on the show.
Yes, we have.
Unfortunately, we couldn't have him today because he's on his way to Port Harcourt. He has a destination to catch up. So,
You know, if you
I
look
think
at things, okay, go
can I say
ahead.
something? I think one of the problem is issue of packaging, right?
Yes.
So I mean, how do you package those things so that Nigerians themselves know they can deal themselves with that opportunity? Except you know these places by word by by
Word of
word
mouth.
of mouth.
Yeah.
You don't really know where to go, right? So we need to work on our packaging. I mean, one of the things that make tourism work abroad is when there's a tourist attraction, people who are around that place take advantage. They start creating souvenirs from places like that. They start selling food close to places like that. Those
Mhm.
things that will maximize the economic activities in that area and also attract people because then when you create t-shirts, somebody will be okay, so I can buy this t-shirt showing that I've been to this place.
Yeah.
It's you promoting it. Once they go out, they set up and you will still bring them market to the venue, right? So we don't do that a lot here. And then, of course, not only doing the packaging, you also have to guarantee the safety and good service of the people that you're working with, right? So if somebody is to travel all the way from, say, Lagos to Abuja or to Enugu to do local tourism, I mean, are you just going to just say, oh, you go and visit here? A well-prepared tourist operator would put out brochures that will recommend hotels to stay. And as he's doing this, he's kind of like he's collaborating with all these people. Okay, I recommend your hotel to my tourist visitors, and then I get commission. Okay, so you recommend where they can stay for security purposes and so many other things like where they can see, not only just what you can say, but where they can see things they can do beyond giving you your own space too. So we don't have these things done. I know one of a friend of mine who is working on a movie about the Bishop Ajayi Crowder.
Okay.
So it's coming out next year, and he is also packaging what they call pilgrim tours. Because if you look at Ajayi Crowder, he was one of the first bishops of West Africa.
Yeah.
So the idea for him is to package tours about the sites where he operated, and there are so many of them in Kogi, in Kogi, in Lagos, in Badagry.
Yeah.
So these are places people can then choose where they want to visit and then go. So these are things that we need to have in mind for.
You speak very well about the issue. There's so much that stakeholders are supposed to be doing. There's so much responsibility that rests on their head. Responsibilities they may not be aware of. In order to push this industry where we want it to be, these tour guides, these stakeholders who are your friends, they really need to sit up.
I have come across a good number of online. I've seen lots of packages, around the country. But you see, if you look at the cost is actually huge.
Yeah, that could also.
Because for instance, your packaging, arranging a tour to Obudu, for instance, and then you're putting as much as let me not say as much as you're putting like 300,000 to 400,000 for an individual. Right?
That's really expensive.
So for the three to 4 nights, you look at the cost. So an average Nigerian will not want to put out such an amount.
Yes, but Jerry, you're talking about the average Nigerian, but we may not be limiting this our scope to the average Nigerian because people who go to spend money out there can actually divert their attention or their monies to the local industry. That 400,000 you mentioned is less than the ticket to, not through, not a round trip ticket or a return ticket. We're talking about just one way. And that is less than a one-way ticket to Europe or America. And these are the people who want to attract.
Yeah,
But the patronage should start from us first.
Yes, you have a point there.
Start
too.
from us first, because you may not have as much people coming from outside.
Yeah, when we boost our own first, then we
You
can
should,
then
you should be
expect.
saying that, oh, Nigerians are patronizing these places before someone coming in from outside.
Yeah, what the average Nigeria could do is I have a friend. What we usually do is sometimes we come together and we decide where we want to go, and then we just pull instead of going for these tour guides with the package they offer,
Yeah.
we map out ourselves like Jerry did.
Yeah.
Where we want to go, find maybe a relative that or a friend of a friend that we could stay with,
Okay.
and then
But you know, a tour service is different from what you want to package for yourself.
yeah, it's different. But I'm saying this is what an average Nigerian could do if they feel like the tour package is too expensive.
Yes. You have to start from somewhere.
Somewhere, yes.
That's true. Yeah,
You know, the conversation is becoming more and more interesting. So I have to, for our health, let's take a breather. Stay tuned, viewers. When we come back, we're taking a short break. When we come back, we discuss a little more about this issue.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back, viewers. It is my pleasure again to welcome you to the tourism segment of Money Radio, and we are talking about making the best of tourism at Christmas. In the studio with me, Chinelo,
Hi,
My-
welcome back.
right, and Jerry at my left, and your host, Case Hammond. So, we want to talk about the aspect of government being involved in this issue we're talking about. Before we go to government, let's talk about how patronizing the local industry can actually promote culture. Let's talk about culture. Chinelo.
Well, there's
Because, and I would like to qualify it, because people like you and Jerry, who have actually, you have de-linked yourself from from rural life. You have so it's people like you who want to call back to rural life, at least to expose you to culture. So over to you.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, it's necessary, especially if you, like you said, revive rural culture and rural lifestyle. I mean, I know there are things that could attract people to the villages or to the rural areas. Like in my area, there are two festivals that we do every year, called Iwashi,
Okay.
where the main delicacy is Opa and Abacha. And
Super.
and then these attract people from, I mean, people come all the way from abroad or even from Lagos, as far as those are concerned. They travel down to Enugu.
What's the name of that festival again?
Igwashi.
Igwash.
Igwashi. So Igwashi. So they come all the way down. They play music. There's a big drum called I've forgotten the name of that drum, but it speaks as well. So they keep knocking. They play these drums from home to home till they eventually converted the village square where everybody comes together to eat and drink, and then discuss. So these are, if we can promote this, because some people may think, oh, in Enugu there's nothing to see apart from our home hills. There is much more to see than that. So it's all about the state or the local governments working together to promote
You see,
the tourist attraction.
what you're saying now is still makes Jerry's friends culprits. They haven't been able to. Imagine, I don't know about such a festival when it comes to abacha, and I love, and I stayed in Enugu for some time. So why didn't I get to know about this? It is because of your friends.
Well, so go ahead. Well, I just think well it's never too late to start anything, right?
Yes.
So I mean, maybe I from that state can work with others to create a tourism or a tourist organization that can now promote those places. I mean, it's just a matter of working with the communities involved, and make sure that as you're benefiting, they too benefit, right? It should be a win-win situation for them as well. That's very, very key. So if they can benefit and you benefit, you work with them. I mean, I know that Nine Hotels, they are training state officials, even youths. I mean, they just released a new package, a new course that they call organizing tourism, local tourism, so state tourism. So they are going teaching it. For those who are interested, they can collaborate. But they've been going around setting up MOUs with states on how they can develop their tourist activities and tourist potentials in their towns. So.
Yeah, Chinelo, you forgot to mention one thing. I would like to remind you. You talked about that festival, Iguashi.
Yes.
Having delicacies like abacha and okpa.
Yes.
You left one thing out. Pami.
Oh yes,
palm wine.
there's also palm wine.
Because you can't talk about you can't talk about a festival in Enugu and leave
I
out palm
know.
wine.
I'm so sorry. That should be.
No. You have to apologize to the people of Enugu.
I apologize. Yes, I mean palm wine is the local drink of the day when you celebrate that festival.
Because people who make mistake and think that they sing it, you can just down it with a normal beer. It's not normal beer. It's palm wine.
The beer thing is not wrong. You know why? Because Nigerian breweries is like just how many
I know that area, that ninth mile area you talking about.
So beer is huge among the people too.
Yes, but the organ of the drinks there must be
palm wine. Yes, definitely.
With palm wine, shows that you're communicating with God.
Jerry, I no longer trust you. So, Jerry, before we come to the issue of government, there is this thing you are talking about, and I told you when it comes to food, I never lose concentration. Yes. So that food you are talking about in your village, and what's the festival?
Well, we have quite a number of delicacies as far as Calabar people call us between Cross River and Akwa Ibom.
Yeah.
We have quite a number of delicacies, and during festive period like this, every home has something to offer. And of course, we have the Ikaikon, we have the Afan, we have the plantain porridge, and several other nice stuff. And during this period, if you go to Akwa Ibom, the Christmas festival, you're sure to have as much as array of food to eat and sample.
My tongue is watered already. Chinelo, you may have something to talk about what government can do, because all of this we're talking about. The question comes. The question becomes: what is the Ministry of Tourism doing to advertise these festivals, to make sure that at a time like this, people can making the best of the industry at a time like this? What is the government doing? You have the Ministry of tourism, right?
TDC.
NTDC. What are they doing? Because we listen to the radio every day, and how do we hear anything like this?
Yeah. I would say they are doing something, but probably they need to improve more on what they are doing. I know NCAC organizes this culture festival for each state, and it goes to each state to host every year. And that would be a good platform for them to also make known some of these other festivals. They do talk about it, but it's likely the more popular ones like the Arungu, which we know is not the only festival around. There's other ones as well. Yes. So, but there are the other local ones, like ones that may be happening in your place, my own place, that is not known by Nigerians. So, I mean, it's a good way for them to, and it will be a good avenue for them to do this. And like I said, NIPOTOS is also training institutions and training young people and training even state officials, how to develop and promote tourism activities in the states. So it's just to improve on what they are doing. I think more importantly it's about, if you are doing this stuff, then get the locals involved. Don't just get somebody from government office to go there and move around. Just get the locals, keep them involved and in charge of whatever is happening there, right? I mean, the last time I went for a sightseeing in Jos to see one of those, I've forgotten the name of the hills. I mean, the locals, the official from the Jos Ministry of Culture took us there, but it took the local who is there, who lives close to that mountain, to actually take us around. And for him to do that, we had to appreciate them, to show them, okay, please take this for your trouble, right? It's not official, but these are things that we can make official because they are the only ones that can really give you the low down or the information or the gossip. Because when he came, you're like, oh, you came too late. If you had come earlier, you would have seen the monkeys jumping around, and then you see the white monkeys. So I'm like, So it's good to make sure these are the ones benefiting. I mean, I know one thing that the Indonesian government is doing right is it's getting its locals, the locals of the community, the various islands that they have, to be the ones that are running these tourist operations in these countries or communities, little communities like this, right? So when you put it to them, that's when you empower them, and that's when they also feel a sense of ownership to protect that thing like their own, right? Because it is their own and because they are benefiting from it. So they should make it more people focused as opposed to government.
You get the point. And you can be sure that it's a veritable way of employing young people. I mean, just a small festival that happens in Jos every year is a theater festival. Every year, I mean, people don't think there's much to gain, but I know a lady who I spoke to around the vicinity of that festival that said, if in a month she makes 5K, on the month where they have those festivals, she makes like 12K. You get the point.
Yeah, so later.
Yeah. So that's the way we want to call it a day on Money Radio today. You have been on to the tourism segment of the program. This is Leadership Podcast. In the studio with me has been Chinelo and Jerry. And I am Kiss. I've been your host. Thanks to you. Thanks to our producers. And mostly we say thanks to you who have been following us loyally. And to you, our new followers also. This is the place to be. You get all the information you need to get about Nigeria on this program. So, we'll be back tomorrow with another bumper edition. And until then, I say to you, on behalf of this crew, COVID-19 is real. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Go and get your vaccine. It's free. Have a nice day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.